New York City gritty committee pity the fool that act the dish, the Mr. the calm, the witty. Dan. Can somebody explain to me the scintillating scenes that I've just seen? In the Varsity Cup, what a week it was of semi-finals, 2 upset results, the away teams traveling to 2 stalwart stadiums, famous in this competition, famous around the world. In the case of the Donny Craven Stadium in Stellenbosch, Western Cape of the Republic of South Africa, the Shimlers ordered some food to be delivered and ate in peace. The Maroon Machine came to play, but the Shimlers put them away, really, with that expansive, exuberant style of rugby which has become the hallmark of Shimlers over these recent years. Since Andre Tredu showed up on the scene, to be sure, they've turned things around. Swayze de Brain there in the first year, and we know that he loves running rugby. Swayze de Brain, the wild brain of South African rugby, unleashing that on the Shimlers. And since then, he's not around anymore, but the running has never stopped. And Andre Tredu, after coming from Madiba's, a side which just to mention on the side, lost in the semi-final of the Varsity Shield in dramatic fashion to Varsity College, who have landed with a splash in that competition and will be one of the frontrunners to be promoted at the end of next season. However, this season they finished 3rd, so they won't have a chance to come up. Madiba's will have a chance to play against CUT in a playoff match coming up sometime soon, and that's going to be a rough ride for them because the pack power of CUT is going to be a serious problem for Madiba's, as the pack power proved to be a problem for UWC when they came up to the Varsity Cup this season. And of course, they're heading down to the Varsity Shield, which is going to make the Varsity Shield a hotly contested situation down there, to be sure. Next season in the Varsity Shield is going to be must-watch rugby, so I wouldn't mind seeing as much of it as possible live and in person. We'll see how that goes. Okay, drifted away from the first topic. I would like to take a brief moment to apologize for the glitching that you're about to hear. Please excuse it. It's going to be gone in a few seconds. Thank you for listening. Please deal with the glitching. The topic being the Varsity Final of 2024. So, Shimlers went down to Donny Craven, and they beat the Marties 38 points to 24, scoring 5 tries in the process. But here's the problem for the Shimlers, and it's been the problem all year long, and it's been the problem for a few years now, to be sure. Marties scored 4 tries against them. Shimlers scored 5 tries, and they get into shootouts like that, and, you know, when you get into a shootout every once in a while, you might just catch a stray. And the Shimlers have caught a couple this season. They lost their first match of the season to a side known as the UCT Ike Tigers. 2 times champions in 2011 and 2014. The Ike Tigers will be the side the Shimlers shall be facing in the final. And the reason the final is going to be in Bloemfontein is because the Ike Tigers traveled away from home as the 4th placed team and knocked over the reigning defending champions of the FNB Varsity Cup, the Northwest University's Eagles. In a really engaging match. It was an enthralling affair, it was spectacular watching. Spectacular viewing, should I say, rather. Let's keep it on point out here. But the Fani du Toit was packed out yet again, as the Eagles have become famous for doing. They put on a serious pomp and ceremony there, and they pump things up, and they've had a couple of good teams over these last few years. Of course, winning last year's competition in convincing fashion. They finished first in last year's competition as well, far more convincingly than they did this year, because this year the Eagles were beaten by another side that you might have heard mentioned earlier, the Shimlers, who sullied the record of the Eagles, who ended up finishing on top because the Shimlers also struggled to maintain that consistency. They went down to the Marties and to UCT in round 1, which left them shaken and not stirred. But UCT were fighting for the top of the log before they lost to the Eagles in the final round of action in the Varsity Cup. Oh, man. So, coming back to the same ground 1 week later, Tom Dawson's Squibs coaching must be commended. The mentalist, as he is known by Mthunzi Fudge Mabeta, who covered that game, along with a very enthusiastic gentleman from the Potchefstroom region, who really got stuck in. It was great to listen to, great to watch, and UCT will be seriously excited for this final, because they've been to a couple of finals in the last few years. Lost the last final, I think they lost the last 2, or 2 out of the last 3 finals. The Ike Tigers lost, and Tom Dawson Squibb's been running a tight ship out there. Vermeulen and Morse. Vermeulen the 10 and Morse the 9, a youngster Morse, and Vermeulen not a man large of stature, but they have been running the show for that UCT side all season long, and it's a tight ship that they're running. Now, they do have some serious go-forward power in Roche and Bull in the centers, who are pumping it. Bull he's been vaunted for glory since shining in the Craven Week just not too long ago. Was it last year or the year before? Anyway, what a bright future he has, already shining at the Varsity Cup level and surely in the Western Province pipeline as well. Tariq Krier for UCT has been dominant this year. Wanted to vote for him as player that rocks in one of the games I recently covered for UCT, but unfortunately, had to go for the hat-trick hero Luke Berger, who was playing on the wing. But it's going to be the grunt up front that's the difference, or it was against the Eagles. The question is really for UCT, is it going to be the same kettle of fish when they play against a side like the Shimlers of Bloemfontein? Now, the Shimlers have been scoring tries all year. I think they are the highest scorers in the entire league. And the problem for them has been that I think they're amongst the highest try conceders in the league as well. Now, the UCT can certainly take advantage of that because they've got some players that have good heads on their shoulders, including Retabilelo, he executed an interception play towards the end of that match that snatched it away from the Eagles, anticipating the pass of the scrum off. Was it Quebec who was playing scrum off at the time? I'm not sure. Saw him dummy, slowed down, made sure he got back on sides, was reviewed by the TMO, and it was a try that changed the game. Intercepted it, ran downfield, gave the offload, and the winning try was scored by Mika Schubert. Joy erupting on his face and in the crowd as well. I mean, it was really something to behold, and the magic of the Varsity Cup is alive and well and firing on the highest cylinders ever possibly with those two semi-finals. And to get a final at the third place team, the Shimlers, it just speaks volumes of the competition in this tournament that goes from the first whistle to the last. And in round one, when the Shimlers lost to UCT, obviously both of the sides weren't firing on the kind of cylinders that they're going to be firing on right now when they contest the final. Can't believe that we are already here. Cannot believe that. Okay, so looking at the Shimlers, Ethan Wenzel in the number 10 jersey, cooking again. The consistency of this guy is absolutely brilliant. His boot is cannon as well. Constantly digging his team out of trouble, but not desperate trouble that his team gets into. The defense is structured, although, the amount of tries that they do concede, they have moments of weakness, really. That's their problem. They don't lack the talent or the defensive steel in the backline to make those tackles, although the backline players are not the biggest of those that they have in their ranks. Michael Anis in the number 15, strong player. He's going to be going up against Duran Kuvord, not going up against, but it's 15 against 15. And Duran Kuvord scored 2 tries in that semi-final. The one of them just pure grit, powering through a number of Eagles' bodies and slamming that ball down over the line. Another decisive try. So that one by Kuvord, and of course a winning try by Schubert, created by Retabilelo, who hasn't played every game this season. I assume he was nursing some injury early on. Crucial to have him back, playing in his third final. The final experience of the UCT side may be a difference maker as well. They've have many, many players that have visited 2 finals and a couple that have visited, one that's visited 3 in Low, and a couple of others that have been to the final before. Lutando Warji, Blankenberg, Kraus. Oh, he's going to be massive. Kraus has been absolutely massive this entire season. Van Rijn was there as well last year. All of these players were there last year, while Tariq Krier was there in 2021. So you see, the Ike Tigers have been pushing for this title for a while, which should fill the Shimler side with fear. And the fact that the UCT side played so efficiently well away from home in the last game. See, home pressure at this level as well can be something that's quite decisive, as opposed to the professional level. The comforts of home at the varsity level can be the pressure of home and having a packed stadium, which is not always the case for all of the sides, especially so the Shimlers, who get a lot of people out there, but the field happens to be a very long way away from the campus itself. It's not an easy walk, so you have to travel to get, you have to drive within the campus, which is expensive. It's an expensive campus. You have to drive within the campus quite a fair bit to get to the field. So it's not just an easy kind of pop to the side and make sure that you watch the game. So on the other hand, of course, Marty's being a university within a small town of not a small town, a small city of Stellenbosch, and a beautiful city of Stellenbosch. If you have never been there, my goodness, it's idyllic. So the stadium is very much more within reach of the campus, and Well, listen, let me make no excuses. The DC gets packed because the DC gets packed. And the Shimlers need to get their stadium full for this game, and they will if the evidence of their 2015 final is anything to go by. Coached by Franku Smith on that occasion in 2015, and one of the players in their ranks was none other than Retechafaditswe Oxenchair, who's obviously gone on to show the world what he's all about, winning the World Cup quite recently, if you do remember. And Northwest University went on to be beaten 63 points to 33 in that final. But in the first half, halfway through the first half, the Shimlers were trailing by 20 points to 8, I believe. So, quite a turnaround of events, and that's what the Shimlers are capable of. If they get on a roll, they cause serious problems to the other side insofar as their momentum is infectious to their players, and they have so many fit, strong players that are keen for attacking play. The offloads, they're always trying them. They're trying things on the outside, skip passes, cross kicks, and Ethan Wenzel's keeping it all on a string. It's a joy to behold. On the other hand, when things go against them, as they did last year, when UCT came down to Bloemfontein, if I'm remembering correctly, yes, and laid the hurt on the Shimler side, really put a serious hurting on the Shimler side. So, the Shimlers need to make sure that doesn't happen again. Also, the previous year, lost in excruciating fashion at home, if I'm not mistaken, when it started raining. So it's been a couple of years of heartbreak for Andre Tredu, and the emotion that he showed at the end of that match, the end of that semi-final, when they beat the Marties at the Donny Craven. He really held it in well because, wow, they were pumped in that coaching box. I could hear them to my left when I was in my commentary position. Incidentally, the young guns of the Shimlers beat Marties as well in their semi-final, played at the same ground in the lead-up to the semi-final between the Shimlers and Marties, while UCT's young guns were also in the semi-finals of the young guns competition against the same side, Northwest University's Eagles, the Eagles' young guns winning that one. So clearly, rugby had all four of these institutions going pretty well, getting all of their teams into the right places of the competition. And to remind you, Tuks shall be returning to the Varsity Cup next year. It is going to be a fiery contest at the top because Tuks will be looking to make their way straight back to contention. And they'll be very happy to have seen that Marties have not racked up another trophy in their absence because they'll be coming back real soon. A little bit of water. So, second final for the Shimlers in the history of this competition, and the seventh final for the UCT Ike Tigers in the competition's history. What a team the Ike Tigers have been. The best final they won in 2014, for sure, when they came from deep down behind to beat the Eagles on the home turf there in Potchefstroom. What a comeback that was, aided by some questionable decision-making from the Eagles on that occasion. An historic one, to be sure. Are we going to get an historic final this time around? All of the ingredients are there, that's for sure. One of the main ones, Ntokozo Makaza, now the highest point scorer in the history of Varsity Cup competition, scoring tries from the wing, slotting penalties and conversions. How many penalties? 5 in the semi-final against the Eagles of Northwest University. I mean, this guy is the real deal. Says he wants to play for the Stormers, and he has every reason to believe that he can. He is a high-quality player, and if he can stay fit, he's going to have plenty to play for the rest of this year. That's the thing. After this Varsity Cup ends as well, obviously a lot of these players have futures destined for them in various places. There's going to be USA competitions going on, USSA, University Sports of South Africa. USA competitions going on. That's what keeps the rugby team's busy in between Varsity Cups for, the viewing public, so to speak. Previously, there was also the Varsity Sevens, which was a highly entertaining competition, which I do dearly miss. COVID robbed us of so many beautiful things, and that was just one of them. But the Varsity Cup final was not so good to have this competition firing for another year, and it's going to be so sad to say goodbye to it, that's for sure. Not going to make a call on who's going to win this one, not at all. But both of these sides will feel like they deserve a bit of a break of luck in this competition after a few heartbreaks over the last few years. The Shimlers in the semi-final, the UCT in 2 finals, and 3 finals over the last 3 or 4 years as well, because that's how Retabile Low is Played in 3 Varsity Cup finals already, on 2 previous Varsity Cup finals already. 3 previous Varsity Cup finals already, pardon me. Barely keeping up with the finals of the Ike Tigers, but no trophies of late, no trophies since 2014. As mentioned, 1 year before the Shimlers won their trophy. Incidentally, against the Eagles as well. So the Eagles will say, we deserved a break of luck in the competition, but the rest of the competition will say, you got that break of luck last year. So bad luck to you this time around. But the Eagles were brilliantly entertaining in this competition. Beat Marties on their home turf in round 1. And for every reason, I didn't think they would get the job done against you. Oh, I thought they would get the job done against UCT. Let's be clear about that, because they did win the week before. However, I should have examined it more closely, with a mental eye, one might say, like Tom Dawson Squibb clearly did, and turned things around. There's such a quasi-professional operation being run there by Dawson Squibb, who's going to be and is already working with the Proteas. He's clearly he's going to have his fingers in many pies going forward in the sporting landscape of South Africa. And I can't wait to see what the future holds. So, what's coming up on Mondays That Rock? Shimlers playing UCT in the final. Do not miss it. Let's get in there. Enjoy the last moments of the Varsity Cup for this year. It has been gripping stuff from the first to the last, and I can't wait to watch the final. And then the Varsity Shield final will be coming up as well. Turks are going to be heavily favored in that one. They're going to be playing at home, of course, and they'll be welcoming Varsity College, promoted into the Varsity Shield this year for the first time ever, and playing in the final in the same year. What an achievement for the side from Durban. Some seriously quality players in that side as well. A lot of youngsters in the Varsity College side, in the Madiba side as well. And in the other semi-final, Wusu, losing to Turks significantly, which everybody's done this season. Turks have no business being in the Varsity Shield. They'll be back in the Varsity Cup next year. Let's see what goes down in 2025. But for now, enjoy the final. And I'll speak to you soon.